Second roster, slight moves, a lot the same. PK, Pittsburgh Knights, a new super team. And I just say super because they won the championships. That's right, it's SK Gaming. Last year, this team made 0 changes. This team was Zapman, Neoma, Paul, Sam, and Scary D, Blair, right? And they came into season 6, and they were the same damn team. This is a team that likes to make minimal changes. I'm not always here for that. I think that sometimes when the going gets rough, you've got to make some changes. And I think that season 5 was bad. But, and there's always this but, I wasn't in the locker room, the Discord, right? I wasn't there to hear or see. And so something told them that they had a roster worth keeping, and that's what they did. And there is, you know, to make the tabletop game, there is some points given to you for synergy, and then you get more points or less points depending on how good the team is. But by not making a change in between seasons, it can either be really good for you because you get to continue working on what you guys worked on all year, or it could be just a lack of understanding of what made you fail. This was not the latter. This team absolutely understood what they had. They took it. They ran with it. They got better. They still went 4 and what was it? 4 and 5, both splits or portions of the season. They wound up 8 and 10, I believe. And then they win the world championship. I think this is, I love this team. They did make some changes though. Zatman, Neoma, Paul, Belair, all back. But they do make one change to the jungle. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Bang! Zapman off the top. Let's go through the team. Zapman, I think, is a very strong player. And one of the reasons SK won this world championship was because Zapman knew his role. Zapman, once upon a time, was Mr. Smite. You know, you look at basketball, you say LeBron, maybe Michael if you're older, right? You look at baseball, you say Mike Trout, maybe Aaron Judge, Derek Jeter once upon a time, right? You look at football and you say fucking Ronaldo, right? I guess. Anyway, my point is there's like a poster child. And Zapman, now it's like, I guess, Barracuda. Maybe modern fans say Polar Bear Mike. It used to be Zapman. Maybe Lazarus. Lazarus, Zapman shared that spotlight. They were on the same team. Who cares? Once upon a time, Zapman was the guy. He was the poster child for Smite. He was one of the best players around. He was the biggest streamer, you know? And he was winning games. But who the fuck remembers SiegeCon? So now you've got a situation where Zapman is this veteran. He's been on top. He's been near the bottom. He's been all around the block. He's been to China. You know, he's traveled. He's played on land. He's played for good teams. He's played with some not so good teams. He's played with big egos. He's played with small egos. He's had an ego. He's been a good guy. He's been a bad guy, right? Zapman's been around the block, which means he's seen all of this stuff, which allows him, if he finds it within himself, to share with his team. Right? It's very easy for Zapman to go, shut the fuck up, I'm the veteran, look at me, and this is how we win, and that's how you lose. But Zapman instead sat back and said, hey, here's all the knowledge that I've gained, but I recognize that Sam and Paul are transcendent players. They had fantastic rookie seasons, Paul better than Sam, and then their sophomore season, Sam better than Paul, which is kind of funny. But Zapman understood both, hey, right now the carry isn't the one making all the plays, maybe late game, but I have to get there, and in order to do that, I need to trust my mid and jungle, and that's what he did. He said, hey, look, I remember when we were in this spot once upon a time, and I can talk to you about it. And I said, hey, I remember when I felt that way once upon a time, and I can talk to you about it. And he said, hey, I remember, but he wasn't like, listen, shut up and let me get the kill. He allowed the guys to play their own game, but still taught them what it was they needed to know to be a top-tier team. Zapman understanding his role there was part of what led PK to the finals. Neil Ma, one of my favorite support players. And support's a big role right now. It's a big role. There's a lot of different players involved, and Neil just came onto the scene with all of the instincts I wanted in a support. Now, he wasn't the best support player, obviously, when he first came on. And to be fair to Neil, there's a long history of Neil Ma being involved in Smite, but just recently came up into the pro level, and that's what we're going to talk about. So I've known Neil for a number of years, but when he jumped up into the pro league with SK Gaming, I was so excited, and I was excited to see it as well because we saw the instincts. Instinctually body blocking, instinctually fighting the wards to counter ward, instinctually doing the things that you need your support player to do that usually take a long time to learn. But since Neil's been playing at a relatively high level for a long time, he already has those in the bank. What he doesn't have is sort of everything else that you get with playing at a high level in a high level league like the SPL. The league itself has a different meta. You guys might go home and pick Hercules and try to invade in the jungle, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But there's a different metagame in the top level of the league where players get to watch your every move. In rank, you might kind of know what Dragon Story is going to do, but in the SPL, I can literally watch 7 hours of Neil Ma pathing around the jungle. And I can say with confidence, at least a little bit, where he's going to be and what he's going to do, etc. And Neil is a player that was able to learn that quickly. He didn't have that coming in because that's something you have to learn on the battlefield, but he had all the instincts to pair with that knowledge that he learned as he went on. And he became one of my favorite players to watch. I actually voted for Neil for MVP of Worlds. Sam gets the thing, and I don't knock, this isn't a knock at Sam. I think Sam played admirably. Put it this way, I was like alone. I was like fucked off during finals, and I was all by myself watching, and I chose I chose Neil Ma for my vote for MVP. The match ends, and I have to go do the interview, and they run up to me, and they're like, okay, who do you vote for MVP? And I was like, Neil Ma, definitely. And they were like, we all said Sam. And I was like, yeah, sure. Sam works. I liked what Sam did. It wasn't, I was like, no fucking way. But I had voted for Neil. I think that Neil's performance and understanding of the game allowed them to get to finals and win it. I really like Neil's performance is what I'm trying to get at, and I think he did fantastic. Paul from PC did not have a good season 6. He just didn't. He stepped it up a little when he had to. He got some really big kills in that final series. He got some really big kills in the semifinals, but he wasn't the Paul from season 5, and he wasn't the Paul from the minor league either, which was scary. I expected, not Paul from the minor league, but I expected what we saw last year, and we didn't get that at all during the year. So we got a little bit of it during LAN, and it was a good thing that Sam stepped up, because they needed it. And then Scary D, Belair, much better name, by the way, did the job. It's actually really funny. I am one of the biggest Belair fans out of the game. He's a cool dude. Unfortunately, he's one of my least favorite players on the map. But he does the job. He performed like Paul, I think, where he played his role. He made a couple of good plays that needed to happen, and that's like almost of the utmost importance for these teams. But Belair did the job. Ronnie came through. Ronnie conquered. Thumbs up, no thumbs down. Did the job. Sure. Awesome. And then comes Sam. Well, he's not on this team, but that's such a big role to fill. I mean, jungle, one of the more important roles in the game. How do you fill the jungle position from Sam, the world's MVP, who I didn't vote for, but again, I concede that definitely was good enough to earn the well, you replace him with fucking Quavo Fred. That's how. Quavo, no tricks tank, coming through. Monumental season on the way. I think that there are two ways to look at this. This is Quavo Fred's first season without Tricks Tank. I mean, literally. Before there was a season, the Smite launch tournament, Quavo Fred won. He was playing for Team Solo Mid, and he was playing with Tricks Tank. And they won the damn tournament. And that was almost 8 years ago, right? That was 6 years ago. He's been playing with Quavo, with Tricks Tank ever since. And Tricks Tank was fine. Tricks Tank was great at some points. Unfortunately, I think Tricks Tank was usurped by some of the other young talent. I think that Tricks Tank successfully grew his playstyle, which is not what a lot of players can say. Tricks Tank started as a aggressive support player. We knew him for his Sun Wukong support. his Hercules support, his warrior support, Guan Yu, right? That was Trick's tank. More Guan Yu than Herc. But like that was Trick's tank. Trick's tank was aggressive and would dive your fire giant fight. He learned how to become a different player. It took him a couple of seasons. But he learned how to become a different player. Started playing a lot of Kepri. Started playing some like Geb and Sylvanas. Very different style. Trick's tank, I think, wasn't dynamic enough. He wasn't able to change his play style enough. And I say this as he retires on the good side of things. I'm almost slandering him almost unreasonably. Great player. Maybe not the top level that he once was. And with competition rising in the pro league, I think it was just, time for him to bid adieu. Cubo Fred, on the other hand, I think has continued his level of excellence. I think Cubo Fred has continued to walk in the same direction. I think Cubo Fred has continued to grow and continued to be a number one jungler. I say this all the time. The best player in Smite is such a hard conversation. But Cubo Fred is somebody that you could intelligently say, that you can intelligently start that conversation with, If you come up to me and say, hey man, I think Envision Eyes is the best player in Smite history. I go, oh mate, I love that kid. But he's probably not, you don't know what you're talking about. Meanwhile, if you say Cubo Fred, I'm like, hey, okay, let's talk. I think I literally did this bit last video. But my point is that Cubo Fred is still the guy. And snapshot from last year, I think Cubo Fred is an upgrade from Sam. And that's acknowledging how damn good Sam for Soccer was. I'm not tossing Sam aside. I'm not saying Sam is trash. But I think even with how good Sam for Soccer was last year, Cubo Fred is still just as good, if not a little bit better, than what Sam did last year. And so while this is a big hole, I think Cubo Fred fills it. There are two variables, and they're both synergy related, and I will address them quickly. Paul losing Sam. Sam and Paul were a duo for a long time. Paul didn't play well last year. Give him a shakeup. Give him a new jungler. All the way turned up. That is a positive in my mind. No Trick's tank for Cubo Fred. Don't forget, players live not necessarily together, but the fact that Trick's tank isn't here to hang out with Cubo might be a big deal. That might come into an issue. Now, gameplay-wise, synergy-wise, I don't think it'll be an issue. I think Cubo can play with Neil, can play with Zap, can play with all these guys, and play very, very well. I think Paul will have to learn how to play with Cubo, but I think Paul's an intelligent guy and absolutely can do that. But I do worry about him outside the game. Cubo's an adult. Hopefully it works like that. But I do see a world, him and Trick's tank were very, very close. I do see a world where without Trick's tank around, something outside of the game doesn't vibe, and that translates in-game, for sure. Players are people. So, we'll see. But overall, the World Championship teaming, I think, got better. And it's funny, I don't think this team is going to start smacking people from the get-go. I think we'll see an improvement, but a similar story to last year, where this team, 4-5. Maybe it's 5-4 this time around. But I see them out of 8, we don't know the other rosters, so sure. But I don't think this is the number 1 team. I think this is maybe a number 2, a number 3 team, but a team that absolutely slays at LAN and tournaments, and we'll see what the fuck they plan out because, nothing's planned until it is live. And so we'll see how that works. But this is a good team, probably not the best team. When all the rosters have been released, we'll go through them, and I'll do a power rankings, but probably not the best team during the regular season, but there's a very strong playoff contender, and Cubo Fred might just elevate this team, not by himself, but Cubo Fred's injection into this team might make the other players play differently, and that might make the team overall better. I've got a lot of faith in Cubo. I've got a lot of faith in PK. A team with few changes. From Sam to Cubo, from SK to PK. We'll see if it works out. Again, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, applaud, thumbs up. I'm streaming. It's my full-time job. I'm YouTubing. It's my full-time job. Let me know. Watch the stream. We're live every day. Twitch.tv/fswag. It's literally not even listed here. Fuck, I gotta fix that. Twitch.tv/fswag. We will
be streaming, ask questions, the whole nine. Leave me comments. More videos you want to see? We're doing roster reviews now. But if you got something you want me to do a hot take on, I got you. SK Gaming, now PK Gaming. No brand manager is going to like it if I say that, so I'm just not going to. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.